we were all standing at the edge of this pond, probably, I don't know, 10 feet away from the bank, maybe. And we were all kind of standing in a semicircle, and I was in the middle and was facing the pond. And this is afternoon, probably 1 or 2 o'clock.
Middle of the day.
Somewhere along there. We're just standing around waiting on those divers to get there. And lo and behold, I look down.
What's up, y'all?
This is Beyond 21.
I'm Caitlin.
I'm Callie.
And I'm still Bo.
He's been Bo the last 3 episodes.
Well, we ain't done but 2. This is the 3rd.
You want me to
Sorry,
turn that?
we had technical difficulties last time,
You want me to turn that towards you?
and that's the one I was referring
Turn
to.
what?
The mic.
Will it not turn?
There you go.
Yeah, I know how to turn it.
Well, I just didn't know if you were going to turn it or not.
If y'all
Well, I
hear
didn't
him,
know.
I'm sorry. If y'all hear him sounding like a little grump, it's because he injured himself.
Oh, yeah. It's
New deputy hurt him before he even started his next shift.
Well, he's not brand new, but he's brand new to my shift.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's trying to break me in, but it's going to work just the opposite.
Well, I think he felt really bad about it.
Oh, he did, and you know, he apologized for the last 2 days that we worked together.
Oh, is that why you try to keep it quiet?
No, I was just trying to keep it quiet because I didn't want nobody to know I was hurt.
Oh, okay, my bad.
So are y'all going to spill the beans on how I got hurt?
I thought you wanted to tell.
Yeah, you wanna
because
tell
you
from your
experienced
perspective.
it first person.
I didn't just experience it. I'm still experiencing it. Because listen, folks, I am 51 years old, and I shouldn't be outside playing ball with a bunch of 20-year-olds.
Wiffle ball.
Wiffle ball. Wiffle, whatever you want
I
to call it.
call it waffle.
I say waffle.
Waffle, it hurts. It hurts to breathe. So, this past Saturday, we had a
Second annual.
second annual badminton tournament, which we expected to last for quite a while because the first one lasted like 10 hours.
I think we had like 15 teams the first time, though.
Yeah, they wasn't. How many did we have this time? 7?
7.
7 teams. So, a bunch of guys from work on my shift came over and played badminton with the fam. And when we got done with that, old Bo here had a great idea of, hey, let's play some wiffle ball because we still had some daylight.
It was a good idea.
It was a great idea. It was even a great idea to me even after I got hurt.
Because it was fun. Straight
Yes.
up.
So,
And we won.
So we had, oh yeah, we spanked them.
Could have been on that team, but pitched a fit.
Spanked them. So anyway, we picked our teams, and I was a pitcher. I don't know why they picked the old guy to pitch.
Because he was smoke.
Well, yeah, you know.
He was throwing heat. I can confirm.
As a receiving batter.
I think everybody on the opposite team got hit by the ball when I pitched it.
You did not hit me.
It's
Oh,
okay.
I didn't?
No, you tried to, but I've just moved.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the
Everybody
idea.
else stood in the
Picked.
box.
That's the idea. You have to back them off the plate, and then when you throw one outside, they think it's coming, and they swing, and it's a strike. So, anyway,
Fundamentals with Bo.
I can't remember if it was the first inning or the second inning.
It was a second inning.
Was it? Okay, I thought it was the first. But anyway, so I hit the ball over around shortstop, and player picks it up, throws it to the first baseman.
I was the player.
Oh, it was you?
It was me.
You threw
thought
that?
Yeah.
I thought it was Zach's.
I did too. I did too.
Oh, maybe it was. I thought I threw one to Gavin to get you out one time, and it didn't work.
Well, it didn't work at all.
Yeah.
Because I never did get out.
Because you're smoke.
Smoke.
He leaves a trail of smoke when he runs.
So anyway, I'm running to first, and I see the ball, where it goes, and out of the corner of my eye, I could see it being thrown to first, but I didn't let up. And then I seen Gavin catching it, and I thought, well, I'm out. I'm just going to back off, dial it back a little bit. And then I realized he drops the ball, and guess what? Smoke turned it on again. And we were using these little orange cone markers for bases because we didn't have any bases. We didn't really come prepared for
No, we weren't
wiffle
prepared
ball.
for that.
So anyway, I pick up the speed, and of course Gavin has been over picking up the ball, and it's as if he's standing on top of the base. And I'm trying to just stick my foot in to touch the base, hopefully to be safe. Well,
He was crowding the bag.
he was crowd. I mean, he wasn't crowding. He was eating it up.
He was, absolutely.
And so my left thigh nails his left hip, which kind of throws me off kilter. And I'm kind of, instead of flying like Superman, I'm turning the curve.
Oh my gosh! I got to
He's
tell
going
my
around the
perspective after
building
you get
like
done.
Superman.
That's the way I feel like it. I mean, when I hit, I just kind of went
you
off
did.
to the right.
But you were in the air, though.
Oh yeah, I was all
You were
airborne.
flying. You were airborne.
I was the U.S. Air Force at that
I'm
point.
telling you, from my perspective, when you hit Gavin, you did like a, you know how they do like a tuck and roll? Okay, well, you tucked your arms tight to your chest, and you literally did like a somersault. And
Dude,
hit,
he did it.
whoa.
I just got so excited
let's
she
don't
about
do
knocked the
any.
mic off.
And you like plopped down on the ground, and you just laid there, and I thought, he's hurt.
I didn't plop
Then
down.
you got,
Let me just finish this up here.
Okay.
From my perspective.
okay.
And then you can tell your story. So when I come down, I thought this arm was out. But for some reason, this one's up under me here. So all of my weight lands, it seems like, on that elbow. Well, it drives all of that into my rib cage. I thought I broke about 150 ribs. So I roll over, and I remember hearing Caitlin running toward me.
I was screaming, man.
You okay? You okay? Gavin turns around. I don't know if it knocked. I thought it knocked him over. He told me the other day before yesterday that he never fell. I don't know.
No,
he was
didn't.
Stone
He's-
Cold Steve Austin.
he
He,
never
was
moved.
still crowding the bag.
So
Yeah, he never moved.
I thought I ran over him and knocked him down. But at any rate, I'm laying on my back and I'm in pain. And I remember him saying, "You okay?" I said, "Yes, I'm okay, but y'all gonna have to pick me up. I can't get up on my own." Because I was in excruciating pain. So I get up, and they like, "What happened?" I'm thinking, "Did you not see what happened?" I mean,
It happened so fast it was hard to tell what happened.
Not from my
I just
perspective.
wish that we had video of it.
Oh, man, I wish I would have videoed it. I'd have played it right now.
Oh yes,
That would have
It
went
would've been
viral on TikTok.
one of those, where you play it over and over and you stop and back up. And stop
Yeah,
and back
yeah.
up.
We would have analyzed the whole thing.
Oh man,
We could have
I'm
done
sure-
the sound of your body hitting the ground to Black Betty.
Boom, boom, boom,
yes.
boom.
I'm sure it wasn't as pretty as it sounded to me in my vision of what happened. But I'm telling you, it hurts. So I spent the rest of the night after we got done. Of course, I finished the ball game.
He
Oh,
did,
yeah, he
like a
played out.
trooper.
I'm not gonna quit,
Kept pitching that smoke.
And of course, it only hurt when I was running.
Yeah, I can
So-
tell that.
So his speed slowed down to a puff. There wasn't no smoke speeding out. It was just a puff here and there, I was like the little engine that could, or thought he could, I was just puff, puff, puff going. Because every time I'd take a step to run, I feel it, and it was like it was just jarring and like a knife stabbing me.
We went easy on you after that.
Oh, so even now, taking a deep breath, it's like throbbing pain.
I'll tell you though, it looked like a really pretty somersault. It looked graceful for sure. When you landed,
Would I have made the synchronized?
I think
diving?
so. I think
Yeah.
so. They would have been
Absolutely.
like 10.
You're gonna be
Well,
getting a call.
I wouldn't
from
I wouldn't have got 10 because I'd have made too big a splash.
No, the way you had your elbow tucked, it looked good.
Well, I
You
can
stayed tucked.
I can guarantee you, I didn't intend to tuck
Well,
or roll.
it was like that. And
It
then,
just happened.
because when you landed, did you not land like, you landed on your stomach and then you propped up on your elbows like right after that and then you rolled, right?
No,
Oh, I thought you did.
I'm pretty sure when I landed, I just rolled on over.
As a
I do remember, however, facing away from the bag with like my feet on the end of the bag, my head away from it.
yeah,
I thought that's the way I
You were
You were
kind
like
of at a
facing the
diagonal.
road. Your head was toward the road more
But
than
when
me.
I remember getting up, my head was toward second base and my feet was toward out of bounds. I don't know how I ended up.
no. When we got you up, you were facing the driveway
That's
because
what
I
I'm
helped
talking
pick you
about.
up. Oh, when you
My
said
head
second
was
base.
my head was back toward.
Oh,
second.
I thought you meant the way you were looking.
No. I don't know how I ended up like if I fell this way, how I ended up with my head this way. But anyway,
Well, let me ask you the most
Hold
important
on, wait.
question. No, wait.
We're about to run out of time.
Was it worth it?
oh, absolutely. So anyway, to finish up this little escapade, after we got done, I went inside. Of course, your mother didn't know because you went in the house. You didn't tell her. You went in the house. You didn't tell her.
Actually, I did not go in the house.
You did. She called you one time to bring
She
something.
called me.
I left. Remember?
Yeah, Callie didn't go in the house. It was me. She called me to come in mid-game after you fell.
I know it, but I
To get a
thought you
bottle.
went in too for something. But at any rate, I go in, do my little doings in there, waiting on y'all to leave. I decided I'm just going to go ahead and get me a shower. I got out of the shower and I decided it was time to go to the ER.
After you said you was going to wait it out till the morning.
I thought I'm just going to wait till Sunday morning. I'll go down there when there probably ain't nobody. It's too much pain. I just knew I was broke up inside.
I thought you broke a few ribs.
I really
I did
did.
too.
At least fractured, cracked,
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Well, after an X-ray and a CAT scan, nothing damaged except my pride and a little bruising on no ribs.
Is it actually bruised on the outside?
No, it's not bruised on the outside. There's no bruising.
All
Definitely
internal.
some internal bruising.
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure. I honestly even considered that you had internal bleeding from that.
I'm telling you.
Like, I mean, that after hearing you, especially for the past couple of days, you're still hurting. I really considered, are we sure they're not broke?
Yeah.
Internal bleeding? Something.
No, there's nothing. They done that CAT scan, and run that fluid contrast through there. Mm-hmm. They said everything was within normal bounds. So,
Hey, you know what that means, don't you?
yeah, it just hurts to breathe.
You're a tough old bird. A tough old bird.
Yeah,
I meant bow. I said bird, but I meant bow.
I am.
The second
I guess.
time I said that.
I'm hurting though.
But as a
So if you hear me moaning and groaning, and I take a deep breath, it's because it still hurts.
You sound so pitiful.
as a Team USA Olympic Committee member, I can confirm you would have made the United States diving or synchronized swim team.
For sure.
And only you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
But
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
absolutely.
Do you want to hear? They don't listen to the podcast. We can
They might.
Well,
I mean, the word is out
hey,
that
listen.
I'm on the podcast, apparently.
Hey, listen. Okay, so this is what I did. Me and Daddy were talking yesterday. Daddy said, it'd be funny is if you send Daniel and Zach a letter from the Olympic
Committee.
recruiting committee.
Oh my gosh.
I said, okay, so this is how the letter reads.
You sent them a letter as if they need to be on the team.
Yes.
The badminton team.
I wrote,
Made it look all fancy, right?
United States Olympic Committee letterhead. Okay. I wrote, Dear Mr. Holcomb, on behalf of Team USA, we would like to formally invite the Pinecone Warpossums to try out for the men's badminton team for the 2028 Los Angeles Olympic Games. We feel as if your skill would help bring home gold and allow the United States to stand out from all other countries. Team USA takes pride in the commitment of our athletes to their sport, and you have what we're looking for in a future Olympian. If you're willing to try out for the men's badminton team, please respond via mail within 2 weeks of the postmark date of this letter. We do hope you are well and look forward to hearing from you soon. Sincerely, Cosmo L. Kramer. Some will get that. Vice President, United States Olympic Committee. Obviously, that's just for jokes and giggles, so don't come at us, Olympic team.
Who's what did you say?
From Seinfeld, the crazy guy on Seinfeld is
that?
named Cosmo
She
Kramer.
had to explain that to
Okay.
me.
But if they have seen Seinfeld, they'll know it's a joke at that point in time. And I also didn't put a return address. So if they're really eager about it, it's really going to frustrate them. They can't return the mail.
Do you think they'll tell you about it? They got to. I mean, it says Pinewood. What is it?
It's Pinecone Warpossums.
Pinecone War Possums.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I don't know whether they'll spill the beans on getting that or not. They
But-
might,
But it's going to be so funny, dude. I sent them out today.
You already did it.
I sent them
yeah.
out today.
She mailed them today.
You went and bought stamps just for that.
I had stamps already.
Oh, I
I've had them in my desk drawer from the wedding. And I just,
Did it
and I
have
had
flowers on
exactly two. No, they were just flags. And I was like,
Okay,
this
okay.
is perfect. So, Anyway, you think I could get in trouble for that? Should I cut that
I think
out?
stealing their their
not-
seal.
I didn't. No, I got the image of the United States Olympic Committee off of Google Images. I don't think that's their official letterhead,
Okay, well,
and it's not official or an official person's name. So I feel like it.
as long as our viewers here don't spill the bean, spill the one bean. As long as it
One
spill the
bean,
one
that's
bean on us, we're fine.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not me, it's you. So if they come at me, I'm gonna be like, actually, it's her.
Yeah. Well, it's
Or
just
you
for
right
a
under the
joke.
bus.
Obviously, that's not for real purposes, and we would never do that for real purposes. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about, is it the Darlene Roberts case? Is that what it's like officially called?
Yeah, that's the victim of it.
Okay.
Do they always name the cases after the victim?
Well, typically it's something to that effect, yes. Well, that's the way we do it, you know.
Yeah.
We don't talk about the suspect, and when
Like,
we turn
you
our
don't want to glorify them.
right, when we turn our case reports in, we turn it in by victim name. Now, they use it by suspect or offender name because that's who they're prosecuting.
Right.
But we look at it as the victim is the important one.
Right.
So that's how we reference it.
It's also been coined the eyeglass case.
Yes.
And there's a book written about it. If you guys want to go read it, it's called, is it Blood Ambush?
Blood ambush.
And it's by Sheila something. I don't know her last name. But
Johnson.
Sheila Johnson, okay.
She's written several books.
And if you guys want to get your copy of the book, Bo can sign it for a $5 fee. If you really want to get his autograph, since he's up and coming celebrity here.
Oh,
D-list.
Oh yes. I ain't in it for the fame.
Should we start fresh?
Yeah, we can start fresh.
So the last episode we did, I have to correct myself because I got confused on some dates. I said that this happened in 2004, but this actually happened in 2006. So on April the 6th, 2006, there was a call that came into our dispatch center in reference to two guys that had, in the area that they live in, had heard some gunshots at a nearby pond. And this nearby pond is like as they described it to us after we got to talking to the folks up there, they used it as a community pond. It was somebody's private pond in a pasture, but I mean, everybody that wanted to go fishing was welcome to go fishing in it and all. So it was late in the afternoon, around 5:30. Of course, I was at home, and dispatch contacted me because I was the on-call investigator, and our on-call investigator works on call 7 days straight, which started on Monday morning at 8 o'clock, and it run till the following Monday at 8 o'clock. So you were on call for 7 days. So I was on call, and I want to say this was like on a Thursday afternoon. So I got the call, and I apologize for reading some of this, but I got to look at notes on my phone here because it's been 22 years.
When was it?
It's 2006. Never mind. No, 18 years. My bad.
That's where I get my math from.
Yeah, I'm not good at basic math, but I can add up some X's and Y's.
Hey,
algebra's
algebra
fun.
is the best.
Absolutely. So anyway, like I said, neighbors heard some shooting going on at this pond area. So he decides, hey, me and my buddy's going to ride over there to this pond. And so this road that this pond's on is a dirt road, but it's actually what we consider a private drive. It's not really a county road, but it's got a county road sign, and the only reason it does is because of a 911 address so that you can get fire, EMS, or police dispatched to your home. And it's a white county road sign, so that means it's a private drive. And that it only, like I said, it's only there because of a 911 address. So anyway, they're going down this dirt road, and when they get to the pond area, the drive or the road is actually part of the dam. So you drive across the dam to get to the other side. And anyway, so you come down this hill and you kind of turn to the right, and you go across the dam, and then it starts immediately up a little bit of a rise, and then to the left to go around to the entrance to this pond. And when they got to the entrance of this pond, of course, driving over there, they see when you're going across this dam, you can look up into the pasture, and there's, if you're looking from the dam at the pond, to the right, about halfway up from the edge of the pond to the entrance of the pasture, they see a car sitting kind of parked in the middle of a grown up area, brush pile or whatever. They thought that was kind of odd. So they go on up to the entrance, and they pull down into the pasture a little ways, and then they get out and they notice that there's like some white gauze bandaging there, and they walk on down toward the car. There wasn't anybody around the car, so they kind of go on down toward the end of the pond there, and the pond sits kind of like in a valley from this pasture, and they notice that there's what appears to be a white female that's laying face down in the pond, and she's shot multiple times with what they thought maybe was a shotgun.
Was she floating? Or
No,
was she in such shallow water?
Yeah, it was very shallow where she was at. And so they immediately call 911. When they call 911, of course, we have some officers that immediately start responding that way. And as they're on their way, that's when dispatch contacts me because I'm on call. And in April at 5:30 in the afternoon, it's not going to be daylight long. So when dispatch tells me what the call is, that there's a body in a pond that appears to have been shot, I immediately start thinking, well, it's 5:30 in the afternoon. It's going to get dark soon.
We got to go.
We got to get some light out there. Got to make arrangements for this, and I'm not going to be able to do this by myself. So I go ahead and contact the other two investigators. At that time, there were just three of us that worked investigations for the sheriff's office. So I go ahead and call them.
Who are they?
Mark Hicks and Jimmy DeBerry. Tell them what's going on. They're en route also. So I also call a buddy of mine that worked for what then was called the ABI, Alabama Bureau of Investigations. Since then, they've revamped the state of Alabama's police department, police, law enforcement to ALEA. Now they're called the SBI. But at any rate, so I contacted my buddy, tell him what's going on, and without questioning anything, he's like, "Hey, I'm coming. I'll be."
Where was he coming from?
He actually lives down toward Jacksonville.
Okay, so he wasn't too far away.
No, I mean he's worked. I've worked cases with him many times in the past, but at any rate, so when we start all getting there, there's a couple of deputies that's already on shift that have arrived, and of course they've got the entrance to the pond kind of roped off to keep anybody else from getting inside the crime scene area. And upon my arrival, Mark gets there about the same time I do, and so, like I said, we knew darkness was coming soon, so we wanted to see what we could see before it got dark. So we entered the crime scene and went ahead and walked down through part of the pasture and went to the body. And sure enough, there's what appears to be a white female laying face down, been shot multiple times with what we assumed to be a shotgun. And I noticed that, like you asked a few minutes ago, she's not in deep water. So the portion of the pond that she's lying in is like a draw that goes down to a point in the edge of, like a corner of the pond. And I don't know if Caitlin's planning on putting any pictures on this.
I was going to ask and see if that was okay.
Yeah, there's some pictures that I don't mind you using. like a picture of the pond, of how the land is laid out. There's
Nothing graphic.
No, there's an aerial shot that I've got. That you can see the pond, and I think it's got some markings on where the entrance is at or whatever. But anyway, so it's like a draw, and what it appeared to be that she was on that corner where it was narrowing down to nearly nothing. And I'm sure everybody that listens to this has probably been out in the fishing in a pastured pond at some point in their life. But there's these big clumps of grass that grow in the edge of ponds.
Me and Kelly know about flipping that grass.
Well, these are it's not the type of grass you're talking about, but it's like little islands.
Yeah.
It's nothing but grass. And you could see where it appeared that, or we assumed that maybe she was trying to get across that. So she looked like she was trying to get across that, And maybe she stopped and laid down behind that clump of grass because her head was right directly behind one of those.
She was trying to hide.
That's what we thought, you know. So anyway, we walked down, check everything out the best we could see, because like I said, we knew darkness was coming soon. We'd already made arrangements to get some light there. We called the local fire department that's got some mobile lighting to get in that area. And like I said, we contacted ABI. We also contacted the Department of Forensic Science to help with the crime scene. He also was one of their employees is Mark Hopwood. He lives in the county, so he's easily accessible. If we need him on something like that, he's always willing to come. So anyway, we kind of get an overview of the scene. Like I said, there was some deputies that was already there. They had already started, getting some witness statements for people that live in the area. Of course, once you get blue lights in a small community, you're going to get folks that's going to come.
They coming out to woodwork.
They're going to know what's going on or want to know what's going on.
Were they allowed to say? Were they allowed to say there's a dead woman in here?
Who?
The
police.
deputies that were taking statements, when they asked, did they say, well, no, we can't talk about it? Or were they like, well, there's somebody dead in this pasture?
I don't remember what they told the neighbors, but the neighbors kind of halfway, I think they about figured it out.
But still, are they allowed to tell, like, there's somebody dead in here?
We can tell some, details to, why are y'all here? Well, we've got a deceased body in the
Okay, I didn't know if y'all were allowed to say.
No, we can't tell major details, but we can give you like a summary of what we're doing if we need to. We don't have to, because
But it's just to give them context of, hey, we need your statement. Like, this is for real.
Yes. I mean, when we ask for a statement from somebody on a witness, if they're just passing by like that, we may say, hey, anybody that drives a white Nissan Murano,
Helps identify.
Right. Because if they're in the neighborhood, I mean, how many neighbors do you not know what they drive? Because you drive by their house all the time.
Yeah, sure.
You know what's regularly in somebody's driveway.
Yeah.
So, like I said, that vehicle that was parked in the pasture, it was a white Nissan Murano. And it was just odd that it's sitting in the pasture, because why would a car like that be sitting in the pasture?
In a grown-up area of it, too.
Well, this pasture it didn't have any cattle in it, but it was grown up, with sagebrush or whatever. And in this one area, when I call it a brush pile, it's not like somebody cleared off an area and it's like
Piled it up.
Right, but it's like a big grown-up thicket of briars.
Well, also, you're not going to drive a car like that up in there, number one, like you said. But at the same time, if you're going to drive your car up in there, you're going to leave it out and about close to the pond, correct? Like, you're not going to go put it far off.
Right. If I'm going to go fishing at the pond, I'm not going to drive my nice vehicle down next to the lake. I'm going to tote my stuff down there, Mm-hmm. And like I said, this was like a community pond because people used it to fish in. You couldn't really fish from the dam area on the road because, the road's not that wide.
Yeah.
there's not a lot of traffic on that road, but who wants to be in the middle of the dam fishing and have to, every time a car comes, you have
Move.
to stop what you do and walk to the edge where there's wider area and then go back. So most people fish from inside the pasture area, not on the dam side of the pond. So anyway, like I said, we had all those folks that was en route to help us with the light and the forensic science folks and ABI. And after they got there, of course, we again walked down in there when Mark got there and the ABI agent got there. And I'm just going to name him. His name is Brent Thomas.
Yeah, I wanted to know.
It's a lot easier for me to just say Mark and Brent than ABI and forensic science.
Yeah.
Because I get tongue-tied sometimes.
I don't think they care you talking about them.
No.
I don't really care whether they think they like it or not.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I ain't saying that to be rude. They're
Well,
just
I mean,
good folks.
they're in a book, so I don't imagine they would be.
I mean, they're good folks. They ain't going to take offense from me saying that, but if they even watch this. But at any rate,
I'll tell his mama to watch.
Mark and Brent both got there, and of course we told them what we had. And then, of course, Mark, him being forensic scientist, he's going to have his own camera. He's going to take his own pictures. He had his guy there that helps him. And of course, we went down there and they saw what they could see and immediately went to work, So,
Do y'all help them, like put the markers out when you see something also?
yes, anytime we find a piece of evidence inside a crime scene, we mark it with what we call an evidence marker.
Yeah.
It's usually got a number on it and it's got a ruler on it for a scale for a picture. If you need to take a picture of it, it's already got a scale and inches on it. So, and it's usually like I don't know what you call it.
Like an L shape where it stands up on its own.
Well, the wet floor signs
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that kind of.
That's what I was about to say. It's like a triangle.
Yeah, it kind of folds out and holds itself up, and then on the one end of it, of course, you have numbers on both sides of them, to where you can see it from either direction, and then it's usually got a leg that sticks out, so it's like a right angle actually, at the bottom, but one leg sticks out to make the right angle, and it's got inches on both points,
Yeah.
So anyway, we marked a bunch of evidence, and like I said, we're still trying. We're brand new into this. We're trying to figure out all kinds of information as to how did that person get in the pond? How did that car get in the pond?
And it wasn't often y'all saw murders in this county, right?
No,
I mean,
we
how
don't-
often?
We don't get a lot of violent crime or violent murders.
Just drugs.
I mean,
in
you
the-
get
in
one
the
every
county.
now and then.
Right, up until this point, I'd been in investigations for 2 years, and up until this point,
Never had a murder?
I hadn't even been to a murder scene,
Were you shook? Like, did you just like,
Were you just amazed?
no, not really amazed.
amazed, but I'm
like,
saying,
were you
like,
like, oh my gosh, this is like brutal.
This is real.
Did it surprise you?
No, thinking back, I don't know that I ever thought about being surprised or was just in shock or.
It didn't ever like make you sick. Like, I mean, obviously you're gonna be like, gosh, this is terrible. But
No,
like,
I know what you're
make
saying.
you
Like,
sit to your
this is
stomach.
our county. Like, this really happened.
Things not supposed to happen here.
Yeah.
This is not one of those things that you expect to see every day.
Yeah.
So I guess in that aspect, I was a little shocked
Sure.
that, but at the same point, I really never thought about it or give it any thought. I just went to work.
you just
Right.
in go mode.
Right. I was trying to do my job.
Go bow mode.
So like I said, we had folks that was interviewing or getting witness statements from the folks that had arrived, which was neighbors. Two of the neighbors that, I call them neighbors that actually found the body, of course, they had to get a statement from them. We had to get good statements from them. And then there was a couple of other people that had come up, inquiring on what's going on. And, of course, word had gotten out that, hey, the police is down here. Looks like there's been a murder. And, of course, like you said, people come from out of the woodwork when something
News
like that.
outlets, did they show up that night?
No.
Oh, good.
No. I mean, the only one that might have would have been the local radio station WIS, but
Yeah.
I don't know that they even came that night. They may have. I never saw them or spoke to them that I can remember. But we wouldn't have talked to them
Yeah, you wouldn't have
at
given
that
me
point in time
information.
anyway.
Right.
We would have let the sheriff or the chief deputy upon arrival talked to them, we wouldn't have been doing anything like that anyway. So, like I said, this vehicle sitting in the pasture. So what's always on, or what's 90% of the vehicles in the world got a tag on it. So that's an easy way for us to find out who the vehicle belongs to. Mm-hmm. So we ran the tag through our dispatch. They gave us the information. Lo and behold, that car belongs on that private drive on down the road from this pasture. It was later identified to come back to Vernon and Darlene Roberts. So like I said, that vehicle belonged on that driveway, or private drive, road, county road. It's County Road 941, I believe is the road number. Actually, I need to zoom. Yes, 941. So we realized where the vehicle's supposed to belong. It belongs on that road. A few minutes later, we got told that one of the other neighbors that actually live on past where this car belongs came up and said, hey, the owner of that car left out a few minutes ago in a gold truck. So we're thinking, well,
he on the run.
Where's he at? Where'd he go? And, of course, the other neighbor knew that because he lived on that road and knew what Vernon drove and knew what Darlene drove. And he actually recognized the car from seeing it, what little bit he could see. So we knew that they belonged there. We just trying to figure out how come they ended up in this pasture. And, typically when you got a murder, the first people that become
The
suspects is usually a spouse or another family member. So when that neighbor says, hey, the owner of that vehicle, her husband left a few minutes ago in a gold Chevrolet or GMC truck. He left, and there's only one way in and one way out to this house or to this pond or any on it. This road don't connect to another road.
It's a dead end.
It's a dead end, and it dead ends at the river. And so we had a feeling that he's going to eventually come back home.
Did you think it was him? Like, in that moment, were you like, oh, he did it?
I don't remember ever giving it any thought about him doing it. I didn't know him. I didn't know any of those people up there in that area at that time. I do remember.
Because that's what I'd have been thinking. I'd have been thinking, oh, he just left. He did it.
and that may have been the reason the neighbor said, hey, he just left. That was his gold truck. And I want to say that maybe he came through going out as we were coming in or just getting there and getting kind of set up. But at any rate, when we were told that he left, we had folks looking for him if he came back.
Right.
So while we're doing our crime scene thing, just before dark, or right at dark, let me look here. Okay. So just before
He's
dark.
trying to relive it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what my note says because I don't want to get any of this wrong. But at any rate, right around dark, this gold truck comes back down the driveway or road, going back home, we assume. So we had deputies on the west side of the dam, which would be on the houses side, not on the entrance side of the roadway. So they were sitting on that side of the dam to try to coordinate any traffic that may come in there that don't need to be there. Turn them around and go back out. If you don't live down here, you're not coming down here, kind of thing. So they were manning that part of the road. And of course they could see everything we were doing, because we had flashlights or whatever. They had a clear view because they're on the dam and could look back toward where we were at. So at any rate, we'd already made arrangements. We contacted our drug unit, drug commander, which was Chaz Clifton at the time, and told him what was going on because we knew we was going to need some more help, because we call everybody we can
All
get.
hands on deck.
Yes, everybody gets to participate when something like this is going on because, like you said, this don't happen every day. So you got to use every resource you can get to work. So here comes this gold truck coming back in. They radio us saying, hey, here comes this gold truck. What do you want us to do? Stop them, detain the driver, and when you get him detained, let us know. So they get him stopped. And as they're getting him stopped, me and Mark, I believe it's me and Mark, drive over from where we were at. We go back down the road to where they got him stopped at. And, of course, he's, hey, what's going on? Well, we need you to come answer some questions for us.
Did you tell him then that his wife was dead?
No.
Y'all hadn't identified her for sure yet.
No,
though.
we hadn't identified her at all.
Okay.
We just asked him what he was doing, and he's like, man, I've been looking for my wife. She's overdue coming home. I've been looking for my wife. I can't find her. Last time I talked to her, she was at XYZ.
Did I identify her then?
I'll tell you where XYZ's at in a little bit, but he's telling us where he went to look for her at. We're like, sir, you're going to have to come with us.
Oh, no.
He's like, well, why? Well, we'll explain that to you when we get there, but you're going to have to come with us.
Did he put up a fight? Was he like,
no, he didn't. He was like, okay, whatever, I want to know where my wife's at,
He had to have been scared to death.
I'm sure he was. So he was placed in the back seat of a patrol car, and one of the deputies transported him to Leesburg. Now, where this is at, you have to go into Georgia to get to this area of our county. There's no other way to get there except by water. You can leave from Cedar Bluff and run up the river, and you never have to go into Georgia to get there. But if you drive up here to this area, you have to cross the state line off Highway 9.
Take a very, very sharp right.
Very sharp. You have to go into Georgia, follow this road all the way back up in to where it comes back into Alabama to get to this area. So it's a good long haul from where we're at to Leesburg. So like I said, we'd contacted Chaz, told him that when this driver comes back, we're going to have him delivered to you, transported to you, and we want you to ask him what's going on from his aspect of what's going on to get a good interview on him. Nail him down on a statement because the first statement is the most important one.
That's the truth one.
So we had him transported to Leesburg to Chaz and them's office. So while Chaz is interviewing him, we're still working, And we worked, I don't know how late it was when we finally concluded what we were doing in that pasture, but just to give you some insight on what all we did do in that pasture is, the first thing we did, we kind of concentrated on the body. Mark did most of that because he's with forensic science, and he of course took photographs, found some shotgun holes, found a bunch of shotgun holes, found some shotgun wadding. And for those of you that don't know what wadding is, it's a plastic piece that is down inside a shotgun shell. When it's fired, it is the last thing to leave the barrel. And it's plastic. And basically it's a buffer between the gunpowder and the shot. That's just a general way of saying it. But anyway, that's laying in the water floating. We found, like I said a while ago, a bunch of gauze that was like strewn through the sagebrush and the briars. That didn't make any sense to us. We couldn't figure out what's going on. Why is this out here? We go through the car and looking through the car, taking pictures. The rear hatch was opened, and there's like fresh groceries that came from Walmart in the back. And we also found the Walmart receipt. Mm-hmm. Well, every Walmart receipt is time stamped and dated to the exact time. So we know what time that person was in the Walmart or
Checking out.
Checking out. So, so anyway, we find the receipt on the groceries. We search through the car. We notice that there's sagebrush in the floorboard.
Like what's in the pasture?
Yes, same kind of long-stemmed brown sagebrush is in the driver's seat. Not in the driver's seat, in the driver's floorboard. We also noticed that there's a pair of high-heeled shoes in the passenger floorboard. Like, why are her shoes off? I didn't understand that in the beginning. But I was told that, women that wear high-heeled shoes, and they wear them all day in the office working, because that's what she did, was worked in the office area, or office setting. A lot of women will take their shoes off when they get in the car, kick them high heels off, and they'll drive barefooted.
Mama used to
I've
do
done
that,
that
and she
before.
don't even wear high heels.
I wore heels to my interview, and I did that.
Yeah. So I didn't know that. I mean, never even give it a thought. But that's what we learned is typically that's what women do is they take their high heels off and they throw them out of the way. You don't want them in the same floorboard you're in for them to get hung up under the gas pedal or brake or whatever. So they just throw them over there out of the way.
Imagine how hard it is to drive with a little skinny heel pressing,
Yeah, I would
Like
imagine
it would
that'd be
do
tough.
like that slip.
Yeah. So anyway, we find that. Of course, the keys are still in the car. Her wallet and ID, billfold, all that's still in there. That's how we learned exactly whose car
That's
it is.
what I was about to say. That's
And-
convenient.
And of course, we're still assuming that this lady that's in the pond is this lady.
Oh, because you haven't fully identified her.
Well, she
Okay.
was
You know,
face down.
She's
Yeah, that's
face
what I
down.
understand.
So until we removed the body, and we eventually did, we really didn't have a positive ID as to who that lady was that's in the pond. But eventually we got to that point. So we got groceries in the back,
With a receipt.
got a receipt,
I do.
got a pair of shoes laying there in the pasture seat or pasture floorboard. We got sagebrush stems and stuff in the driver's floorboard. We got a wallet. We got a cell phone. We got all this stuff that belonged to this lady is still in the car. So we're thinking, it's not a robbery because everything's still there, So
So you are trying to find motive at this point.
we're grasping at straws, as you might say. What went on here in this pasture?
Right.
Nothing makes sense here, because there's tire tracks. Before me and Mark before it got dark, we noticed that there's tire tracks or a path through this sagebrush. That go from the entrance and it goes along the top edge of it. And then as we get down there at the pond, we notice that there's tire tracks that runs along the edge of the pond bank. And then it goes up there through that little draw in the roll. It's kind of a rolling hill type pasture. And then it goes to this stopping point, and that's where it stops at. So we're trying to make heads or tails of this, Of course, it's already got dark now, and this is what we found in the car. We get the car towed out of there. And by the time we get finished up what we could do that night, Chaz has completed his interview.
Does the guy know? Vernon, does he know now?
Yes, by the time we got done, or by the time Chaz got done with the interview, it was explained to him what we were doing at the pasture.
Did he know it was his wife, or did he just know there was a woman that was dead and it was his car that he owned?
That's what we told him, because at that point in time, we still didn't positively identify her,
Right.
to say this is absolutely her.
Yeah.
So anyway, the interview process had been completed with him. We got all of our statements from our witnesses. The two guys that called it in, we got their interview statements, witness statements, and we've done everything we could possibly do in this pasture because of darkness and there's always, you can always go back if you keep the right pieces in play. And what I mean by that is somebody's got to stay there all night.
Make sure nobody comes in
Because
and
it's a
picking up
crime.
evidence.
It's a crime scene. We're in an active crime scene. If we all leave,
Somebody could tamper with.
somebody could tamper with something, you know, or better yet, to prevent having to go get a search warrant. If we don't never leave,
Ooh, I like
we've
that.
got it secured. We never left.
So who stayed?
So Mark and Jimmy stayed that night.
Gosh.
No, I'm sorry. Mark and Tim stayed that
They
night.
just slept there?
The chief deputy come up there, and he ended up staying there too. So they slept in the car. One of them slept while the one of them
Stayed on watch.
Yeah. So you had to keep somebody awake, to say that we had a secure scene. So anyway, we kept a car down there. Vernon was transported back to his residence. And when we took him, we took his truck. We seized his truck.
Ah.
So we had
It was going to the garage to get.
his truck, and we had the Nissan Murano, which ended up belonging to him too, because it was registered in his and Darlene's name. So at any rate, we had both vehicles. We had them carried to a location and stored inside and locked up so that they were secure. Because we weren't done with either one.
Yeah, you had to search them again.
We weren't done with either one of them. So, after all that was concluded, we went to Vernon's house.
Man.
Because during the interview process, toward the end of it, he was explaining what we were doing, and he gave us consent to search his house. Verbal consent. We turned it into writing to prevent getting a search warrant. He was very cooperative. He wanted to cooperate because he wanted to know what's going on. He wanted to know what happened to his wife.
Yeah.
So we get back to his house, and there's I don't know the number of people that we had there, but we were all there except one or two that stayed at the pasture until we could get done.
What are you looking for?
We're looking. Well, we know she was shot with a shotgun because we found shotguns.
So you're looking for a weapon.
We're looking for a shotgun, 12 gauge shotgun, because that's what kind of
Yeah.
holes we found in the pasture, in and around the pasture area in the pond. So we were looking for a gun, looking for maybe bloody clothes, anything that would help us that we could come up with that might be related to the case. Any kind of evidence that would, if we found a certain color shotgun shell that looked kind of like those shotgun shells that we found.
You could get them
It's
tested to see if it was the same.
Right.
Shell.
Or, if it's the same brand, same kind of shot, anything that would relate it to what we found, that's what we were hunting. So we get back to his house. He gives us consent, and we start looking throughout the house and along on the property. After, I don't know, couple.
Y'all rip his house apart looking for stuff.
No, we looked in every crack and crevice of that house, but we didn't destroy his house. I felt like we was being very respectful of his place because, we don't want to just go in and just destroy somebody's property to find what.
Well, I didn't know if y'all was ripping clothes out of the thing
No.
to make sure there wasn't bloody clothes underneath his
we
cleans.
looked everywhere.
But you put stuff back the way you found it.
Right. We looked in every crack and crevice, but we didn't. It wasn't nothing in disarray when we left. So we spent a couple of hours at his house. It seemed like, I don't know exactly how long it was, but we looked everywhere, and somebody was talking to him, and I think it was Brent that spoke to him most of that time. After Chaz even interviewed him, Brent still talked to him, and he was willing to talk to Brent, and he basically told Brent the same thing that he told Chaz during the initial interview.
Was he recording him with a body cam?
I don't think we had body cams at that time.
So he was just writing down notes then.
Yeah. Now Chaz probably, at best I can remember, Chaz got a written statement from him.
Well, I didn't know if he had a camera in his interview room
That's what I was
and
thinking.
could record the interview.
I can't remember if we had that at that point in time or not. So we looked through his house. We didn't find any kind of evidence that night. I mean, nothing in the house that would help us with our case. So while we were there, he gets a phone call from, and I think he had made a phone call to Darlene's sister, who also came to his residence, because he basically initially or found out that his wife is possibly deceased. You know, that's her car.
Well, common sense.
2 and 2 makes 4. So he contacts her family, and she does have some family that is not close by, but within driving distance. It took her several minutes, maybe 45 minutes to an hour, to get from her location to where Vernon and Darlene lived. But at any rate, so when while we're talking to him, toward the end of the search warrant or us searching, she arrives, and we're talking to her, and then a phone call is made to Vernon. It came in from Texas.
Uh-oh.
And this phone call basically was telling him, Vernon was originally from Texas. Him and his first wife. Her name was Barbara. The phone call that came from Texas was a family member of his ex-wife's. And that phone call consisted of, and I don't know how they found out about it, but at any rate, there was a phone call that came into Vernon's house from Texas, and it was a relative of his ex-wife's explaining to him that they were very sorry to hear about the tragedy of Darlene being brutally murdered, and that Barbara's mother had a heart attack and died after she heard about Vernon's wife being murdered.
What? How many hours between the time y'all got there and the time this phone call was made?
A couple hours.
So really not enough time for information to get spread around and get all the way to Texas and back.
Right. And you'll understand why it got there, how it got there in a few minutes. So like I said, Barbara's mom heard about it, had a heart attack and died the same night that Vernon's wife, Darlene, was murdered.
Is that true?
Is what true?
That she died
Yes.
the same night?
Yes. Yes. We checked it. Yeah.
Okay.
And other family members contacted us and told us the same thing.
Okay.
And I may be getting ahead of myself, but it'll all make sense. So the story starts getting more intense as
The plot thickens.
Darlene's family gets there. We hear from Barbara's family from Texas, which is Vernon married Barbara. They grew up in the same community, same town, small town Texas. Everybody in that small town knew one another, kind of like, they do here in Center. Most everybody knows everybody, or at least you know of them.
Right.
They grew up together, went to school together, high school sweethearts, got married, and ended up in a divorce later. Now, how they ended up from Texas to Alabama was Vernon worked for a paper company, which there was inland box, or it was inland container where the box plant was, and then you had the paper mill that was directly behind it at Rome. So Vernon worked for that company in Texas. He ended up in a transfer from Texas
To Rome.
As a supervisor. He got transferred. Well, him and Barbara picked up roots and moved
To Rome.
to Rome, but they lived in Alabama, which,
Yeah. Their place is probably, 25 minutes from the paper mill?
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, not far.
So that's how they ended up in Alabama, or to live in Alabama from Texas. So after moving to Alabama, and this is what we're learning after the phone call from Texas came and Darlene's sister shows up. We're gathering this information, how they end up here, because it's
important.
It's important because it's the backstory.
Yep.
So after living here for several years, prior to this night, we learned that Barbara and Vernon had gotten a divorce. And one of the reasons we were told that they got a divorce is because Barbara had been put in a mental institution several times.
She's a little crazy.
She's a little crazy. Nuts. We find out later. So, that's the reason they get a divorce. After the divorce is final, Darlene works in the human resource department for the same company that Vernon works for. He's a supervisor. She works in human resources, so he met her.
He's seeing her all the time.
He's seeing her going and coming from the offices back and forth. They began talking and apparently end up, in a dating relationship. And eventually get married. And this story and several others that I'm going to touch on comes from the sister, because Darlene confides in her sister just like the two of y'all confide in one another about stuff.
Yeah.
That's just what sisters and family does. So the sister starts telling us these stories, and Vernon's telling us some of them too. After they start dating, Barbara keeps interjecting herself into
their life,
into Vernon's life, and since he's dating Darlene now, she's beginning to interject herself into Darlene's life by way of Vernon. So there's weird things that's happening, and this is, like I said, coming from Darlene's sister. There's always something going on with Barbara because she can't let go. That's is my opinion. She's infatuated with Vernon.
Right.
So she can't let go.
Yeah.
She lives in Rome. She got a little trailer up there in Rome on one of the streets outside of the big city of Rome, but, on the suburbs. And we learn her location, or her house location, because Vernon knows where it's at. I mean, But at any rate, we find out that one of the things that we learned was that Darlene lived in an apartment when they were dating. She comes out to go to work one morning, and her car has been spray painted. And it's got all kind of stuff written on it about...
talking bad about her.
Yeah. I can't...
Slamming her about dating her.
Basically. Well,
her
she didn't...
boyfriend.
There wasn't nothing that led directly to Barbara by what she said.
Probably some...
But it's just stuff.
Probably some bad words on there.
One morning, she had to call the fire department because she went outside, or she got to noticing that there was fire or smoke boiling out of the vent underneath her house. Had to call the fire department, and somebody had put some trash or paper, wadded it up, and lit it and pushed it through the vent. And when I say the vent, if you've ever been to a house that's built kind of like yours here,
The outside,
the vent on the brick underneath the window areas is so that the underneath of the house can breathe.
Yeah.
So there's smoke coming out of one of those vents. So she calls the fire department.
Barbara, crazy girl.
It's just stuff like that.
all the time. Stuff like that.
This is happening periodically. It's just like she keeps interjecting herself into the relationship. So like I said, I got the call at like 5:30 in the afternoon. It's getting close to midnight, And then as we're learning all this information, after we've concluded our searching, we're talking to Vernon and his sister-in-law. They're giving us these stories about what's going on. And then, we're still trying to figure out how in the world did the folks in Texas learn about this. Well, I can't remember if they told Vernon on the phone or whether he called them back to find out.
Or y'all like, call him back, call him back.
But what we learned was that Barbara had called her mom and told her mom that Vernon's wife had brutally been murdered, that she had heard about it, and then that's when her mom had a heart attack and died. That was a clue. We're thinking, what in the world? Of course.
Because hardly anybody knows about this. How would this woman...
How does she know that?
So, and then Darlene's sister's telling us that that Darlene had made the statement that if something ever happens to me, somebody needs to look at Barbara.
Oh.
So we're trying to figure out.
Not the foreshadowing.
We're getting all this information. Like I said, we done all our search warrant the search at Vernon's, didn't find anything. Of course, Darlene had a son and a daughter. We eventually spoke to both of them.
Were they already grown?
Yeah. So to conclude what we were doing at the house that night, we finally got what information we could get. It was very late. Actually, it was early morning hours. It was about 3 a.m. when we finally left Vernon's house.
Oh, my gosh. Been there, what, 10 hours almost? Yeah.
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 So we leave, like I said, 2 deputies, or the chief deputy, which was Tim Hayes at the time, and Mark Hicks had volunteered to stay the night because we had to leave somebody at the pasture because we were going back the next morning so we could get when it got daylight.
Yeah.
So that night I leave, I come home, get a shower, get in the bed. At 7 o'clock, I'm back up
Got about 3 hours sleep.
to go back to the crime scene. So I get back to the crime scene about 8 o'clock that morning. When we get back to the crime scene, we start finding evidence that we had missed. Because at that point in time,
Well, it was dark when we
got there, it was getting dark before we...
Or dusk.
It was getting dark right after we got there. So we didn't get to walk the whole path that what we thought where a vehicle went through this pasture.
Right.
So we started walking this path. And all along this path, we're finding spent shotgun holes. As if somebody was shooting.
Back to back to back to back to back.
Periodically along this path. So we're trying to figure out what in the world, how does this even work? So we started piecing this together in our mind to say that, all right, her shoes is laying in the pasture floorboard. Somehow or another, we assumed that she had gotten out of her car.
Because of the grass, sagebrush in the car, right?
Yeah, well, we'll get that in a minute. So we're piecing this stuff together the best we can figure. And what we assumed, somehow or another, she was headed home. Something stopped her at the entrance of this pasture. And she ended up outside of her car somehow. And during that process, she takes off running through this pasture. Now, she's running opposite direction of the way she lives. Don't know why. Won't never know why she took that path. But we assume that she ran through the pasture. Her car follows her through the pasture. I don't know how big a lead she got on the vehicle and the driver. But after finding shotgun holes ever so often, either somebody's walking behind her shooting, is what we assume, or there's 2, and maybe one of them is driving and the other one is hanging out the window shooting.
Yeah, because it'd be kind of hard to shoot a shotgun while you're driving and pressing the pedal and holding it with one hand.
Yeah, that's kind of that would be a task.
Not to mention the reload.
Yeah, that would be a task to do.
Yeah.
So we're walking this path, like I said, finding spent holes periodically. So they go through this pasture and kind of stay on the high side of the pasture, and it kind of slopes off to the pond area. So the path of this thing goes across the top part of that pasture, goes down in circles, and goes right along. Now, this is the car path because we can't see where the person's running. We couldn't tell that. When it turns and starts down toward the pond, when it gets to the edge of the pond, we start seeing footprints in the edge of the pond because the water is down in this pond to what it should have been.
It's muddy.
And it's muddy. So you see footprints along the edge of the water.
Barefoot prints or like shoe prints?
Barefoot shoe print or barefoot prints. Running along or going along the edge of the water, between the water and the bank, you can see these footprints going across through there. And the pond curves like this, you know, from where, if you're looking at the dam, from the dam, the pond would be curving,
Yeah.
you know, outward toward me.
Yeah.
So it's got 2 points over here, and it curves around. So she's running along the edge, like I said, between the water and the edge of the pond.
Yeah.
And this car is following along, and it's sloped, you know. So the car is driving like this, and it's you know, if you've ever been in a pasture, you're gonna have them big clumps of grass, and it's probably bumpy, you know.
Yeah.
But this car follows along this edge of this pond, and of course we could see that path, and then you could see exactly where that pond goes, or that vehicle goes through the path up to where it was parked at. There again, we're still trying to figure out how all this worked. How did this all happen? You got the galls that's strewn through the briars and the sagebrush. We're trying to figure all this out. So we collect whatever we could find that morning, and after collecting what we could collect, we get to a stopping point pretty much. We also find up close to the edge of this entrance to this this pasture, we find 2 men working signs. And these 2 men working signs, one of them actually says, "Be prepared to stop," and the other one says, "Men working." Mm-hmm. On the back side of them has Floyd County Highway Department, I think, or something to that effect. Now, we're in Alabama.
They shouldn't have been there.
They shouldn't have been there. They were laying face down in a little stall area of this pasture. Because in this corner, there's a big area about the size of this room that was kind of like stalled off. You know, it had 4 corners.
Yeah.
And as if that's where they pushed their cattle in to move them. Well, along with that, there are this plastic, it's actually called an air dam that goes up under your front of your car that connects from the front bumper to the frame area that would keep trash and debris from going up into the engine compartment.
Yeah.
So that's laying there. And of course, Nissan, any part that comes on most vehicles, especially a Nissan, and I know this because I used to work in the auto collision business, but all original parts on a Nissan has Nissan stamped on it or embossed in it somewhere. Well, this had a Nissan
stamp
emblem on it.
Yeah.
So I look under the front of the car later that day, and that piece is missing from her car.
Right.
So somebody takes it from out of the pasture and lays it with these signs that's laying face down, all of it stacked together nice and neat.
Kind of trying to make it blend in.
I guess you might
in
say.
Plain sight.
Because it wasn't necessarily in the middle of the pasture where this was at. So we find these signs in that air dam or plastic piece, and we collected that, you know. We ended up leaving the pasture because we got everything that we could possibly think we could get. So we conclude, we get our crime scene tape up because we're done. Once we leave, we're done. We can go back, but anything we find thereafter may not be of relevance because we can't prove anything, you know, possibly. It'll create a bigger problem if we find something 2 days later or 2 weeks later than as if we found it right then.
Right.
You might say it wouldn't be live evidence.
Right.
You know,
Did you skip over a piece of live evidence?
not
Or you-
yet.
Okay, I want to make sure.
So now we're looking, like I said, I believe this started on Thursday afternoon. We're on Friday now, and I've had about 3 hours of sleep. And we get done somewhere around maybe, I'm going to guess we spent about 2 hours up there looking for stuff that next morning. So we ended up finding everything we could find. We all talked about it, and we decided, well, I think we're done here. We can leave. So we gathered up everything and we left. Well, I left from there and went straight to the shop where the two vehicles were to meet with Mark Hopwood again, and we're going to go through the cars.
Oh, so he hadn't started doing that yet without y'all.
No, because we got to get a search warrant to do this now, to go through these cars.
Oh, you couldn't just get his written consent?
We
again?
could have, but we got a search warrant.
Oh,
Because that's the way we wanted to do it.
yeah.
It's better you can't deny anything if you give me, if I get a search warrant
Yeah.
for your vehicle and it's signed
They
by
can't
a
argue
judge,
that.
you can't stop me from doing my job.
Yeah.
Because I got a court order now.
Right.
Right.
So we got search warrants. While some of us was up there, had somebody getting search warrants for those two vehicles. So I meet with Mark. We go through the vehicles. We didn't find anything in Vernon's truck. Nothing. We found what we thought might be some blood stains, but it ended up being something other than that. It was probably some paint stains or something that was kind of a reddish tint. Mm-hmm. But in her car, we find some blood stains or blood spots.
Yeah.
I want to say that there was some on the headliner, maybe some on the door panel. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I told you that we found the groceries, the receipt, her shoes, and the sagebrush in the floorboard and wallet and everything else is in the car. Mm-hmm. Well, what we didn't find that night, Thursday night, was a shotgun butt pad. And what that is it's a cushion pad that goes on the buttstock of a shotgun to help with padding as you're shooting. Mm-hmm. Well, when me and Mark start going through her car, we notice that if you open the driver's door, you have the seal at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's usually got a plastic piece covering it.
Yeah.
Well, between it and the seat, toward the back of the seat,
Like where your buttons would be to
right
move it.
kind of right behind where the buttons,
Yeah.
we find this rubber buttstock pad. And when we pull it out, we're like, "Oh my gosh, this is good," you know. So
Some evidence.
We take the evidence, we bag it and tag it, as we say. We collect some more evidence. We even took the sagebrush,
Put it in a bag.
put it in a bag.
One of them long baggies.
How you got to link stuff, you know, and that's how you link it with evidence.
Collect everything,
Collect everything.
even if you think you ain't going to need it.
So we ended up getting done with the vehicles, and we go back to the office and start, you know, kind of drawing off a timeline or something. Well, I told you that during the interview of Vernon, he told us his side of the story. So just to touch a little bit on his side of the story is, he told us that Darlene was leaving work. He was off that day. He didn't work that day. So he had stayed at home that day and was doing some stuff around the house. And I think it included some painting of some walls in one of their spare bedrooms or something. Anyway, it was some work he was doing at home. And he had been there all day, so he had no reason to leave. But he said that when she left work, she called him and said, "Hey, I'm going by to pick up my daughter. We're going to run by the Walmart, and then I'm going to drop her off at home, and then I'll be on home." So he's okay, you know.
Center Walmart or Rome Walmart?
Rome Walmart.
Okay.
So he says, after, she had from where she worked, she would have had to go into Rome to pick the daughter up. They went by the Walmart, and then her home was along the way back from between Walmart and her house,
Right.
Darlene's house. So it was along the way. So he gave us a time frame of when she left work. Well, we knew what time she was at Walmart
Because you got the
because we
receipt.
got the receipt. So he tells us that the reason that he left is because she was way overdue on being home. And so the last place he knew that she was at Walmart, because when she got to Walmart, before she checked out, she called him and said, "Hey, this is what I got. Do you need anything else before I leave?" I mean, how many times you hear your mama call
Yeah.
or even y'all call, when you go home or go to Walmart, you call Blake and say, "Hey, is there anything else?" Because I ain't making another trip,
Exactly.
So he knew that she had called from about nearly the checkout counter. And then here it is several hours later, and she still ain't home. He's beside himself.
He don't know if she's been in a wreck or
Right.
kidnapped.
Anything
whatever.
goes through your mind, I guess. So he says, I leave and I go to Walmart looking for her car to see if I can find her. He said he drives up and down every aisle of the Walmart parking lot,
Looking at every car.
looking at every car to see if her car is there. Because that's the last place he saw her or talked to her.
Yeah.
He didn't find her there. He goes by the daughter's house. Her car ain't there. So then he comes back home. And he's on his way home when we got him. So to verify that's easy to verify. We just go to Walmart.
Check the cameras.
We just pull the cameras. We pull the cameras, see that her and her daughter is in the checkout line, and it matches the time on the receipt.
Obviously, yeah.
We know about what time he went to Walmart because he told
His
us.
truck was on the camera.
See his truck driving up and down every aisle. Look,
So you know this guy's pretty reputable.
He's corroborating his story because either he's building a good alibi or he's telling the truth.
Yeah.
He's following up or he's telling the truth. So we conclude that we're not completely ruling him out because we don't have anybody in jail.
But y'all trust him a little bit more.
But at the same time, everything that he's telling us is checking out. So that's where we're at. Well, and this is later in the afternoon after we get all of our pasture duties done, we get the vehicles done, we get back to the office and we're brainstorming, what in the world? What else can we do? So we conclude that there is nothing else that we could possibly do. It's Friday afternoon. What else could we possibly do? Because we don't know anything else. We don't have any more information. So we decide that we're going to call it a day. Nobody had no sleep, so we're done. So we leave and we all go home for the day. So like I said, we've decided that there's nothing else we could do. Everybody's tired. Everybody's going home. Have a good weekend. We'll come back Monday with fresh minds and we'll see what we can find. So we go home expecting to have a great and wonderful quiet weekend.
No.
Jimmy DeBerry is working Saturday. And him
On the case?
No, well, let me get to it. So Jimmy works weekends still. He would rather work on weekends and be off during the week some,
Okay.
So he works Saturday and Sunday, and he's off a couple of days during the week. So about 12 o'clock, my phone rings.
In the morning?
And
In the afternoon?
At noon,
Okay.
my phone rings. It's Jimmy. Hey, Bo. Hey, Jimmy. Hey, you might want to be en route back up here.
You're like, bro, for real?
What you got going on, Jimmy? Well, we come up here. I got some deputies, and we come up here, and we set up at the intersection of County Road 182 and 941, and we was just doing a DL check and trying to talk to some neighbors, to see if we could get some more information.
Sussing it out.
Okay. And by the way, I've emptied every garbage can up here at the end of the driveway and taken pictures, and I think we might have some evidence in the garbage can.
Outside garbage can?
Yeah, it's the big green cans.
Yeah.
Jimmy out here doing the Lord's work.
Everybody down that 941 brings their garbage can all the way from their house, driving it. They have to load it in the bed of the truck and drive it down to the end of the road because the garbage truck don't go down that driveway.
Yeah, it's just going to make one stop.
This driveway, just to give you some kind of clue, is about 1.5 miles, 2 miles long to the river.
Goodness.
These people are putting their trash cans in the back of their truck and driving it down there.
All the garbage cans that belong on that road is at the intersection of 182 and 941.
Yeah.
So as they're doing their little DL check to talk to neighbors to see if anybody had seen anything, heard anything, because when the neighbors called in about about the pond shooting, one of them actually saw a black small truck with what they assumed to be an Alabama tag on it, because it was a white tag with blue and white writing on it.
Right. Georgia don't have that.
Stars fell on.
So, we kind of had a clue that we were looking for a black Dodge pickup truck, small, like a Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jimmy's talking to folks with the deputies. He's got 2 or 3 deputies up there with him. And that's when he calls and says, hey, you might want to come on up here. So I call Mark. Hey, Mark.
We got to go again.
We got to go back up yonder. Where? I said, up there on 941. Why? I said, Jimmy thinks he may have found some evidence in the garbage can up there. Said, he's emptied all the garbage cans, got them all laid out on plastic bags on the edge of the driveway in grass, and he's taking pictures of it. He thinks he's found some blood on some stuff up there.
Digging through the trash. That is just like Jimmy.
What made him want to dig through the trash? What the neighbors said, or
no? The garbage can's there.
He just wanted to go through them. Okay.
Jimmy, he was probably bored.
No, he was just doing his job.
Okay.
That's just what Jimmy does.
Okay.
He's being thorough.
He's being thorough. That's the best way to explain it. I mean, I didn't even see no garbage cans when I was up there the last 2 days. I don't even remember seeing a garbage can.
So what did he find?
They were all there.
Jimmy was Thursday night when that happened. He was ready to dig in them trash cans.
He was like, "I'm coming back for them. I'm getting them tomorrow. Don't you worry."
So after that phone call's made, me and Mark go back up there. Well, when we get up there, we're looking at this stuff, and we determined that all 3 of us look at it, and we just like, I just don't think that's blood. We just don't believe that's blood. So we all conclude that it just wasn't blood. It looked kind of like more of a paint stain or
ketchup.
Something, it wasn't blood. We didn't think. So we got some swabs that we can test to see if it's really blood. Well, it wasn't blood.
Dang.
So while we're up there, while we're here, let's just keep working.
Let's dig in the trash some more.
No, we didn't. We're done with the trash. We decided that, while we're up here, we got a pond here. We know we're looking for a shotgun. We didn't find one last night or the night before last, and we didn't do it yesterday. But, why don't we contact some divers and see if they can dive this pond and get lucky that somebody just threw it in there after they shot this lady. What do we got to lose? We're already here. So we made some phone calls to some other agencies that's close by that join our county, namely Etowah County. We knew they had a dive team. We also contacted the local rescue squad because they had an underwater camera.
Hey.
So
top tier.
We get us a boat, a flat bottom boat. And while we're waiting on the divers, we got a crew that's on a boat that's looking at a little camera
dipping
feed that's on a monitor, and we're looking at the bottom of the pond, which is real murky, so
Yeah.
you really can't see much.
Y'all needed a big magnet.
We even tried a magnet. We had a big magnet too, by the way, and we threw that magnet and tried that.
Nothing.
And didn't find anything. So we're still waiting on the divers. Well, there's me and I think Mark. At that time, Jeff Hart worked with the sheriff's office. He was standing there, and maybe one other deputy, but I don't remember who it was. And I can't remember if Jimmy was standing there or not. But we were all standing at the edge of this pond, probably, I don't know, 10 feet away from the bank, maybe. And we were all kind of standing in a semicircle, and I was in the middle and was facing the pond. And this is afternoon, probably 1 or 2 o'clock,
Middle of the day.
somewhere along there. We're just standing around waiting on those divers to get there. And lo and behold, I look down. So, I've already explained when we were going through, I think part 1 about me going through from patrol to investigations. And while I was in investigations, my phone rang all the time. Well, it didn't just ring all the time while I was in investigations. It rang a good bit when I was in patrol. So there was this one time when we were all at home. I was actually off that day because I worked second shift in patrol at this time. And my phone rings, and it's some of the other deputies, and they said, "Hey, Bo, we're down here at this guy's house, and we got a warrant for him, and he won't come to the door. He's got his doors barricaded and says he's not coming out. And we tell him that we got a warrant for him, but he said, I ain't coming out of this house unless Bo Jolly comes down here." And so, like I said, your mama did. When I'm off, I'm off. I try to be off. Your mama just cannot stand
It used to eat her alive.
for that I have to get up and leave family functions to
Yeah.
go deal with something at the sheriff's office. But
Understandable, but it's your job, so.
right, you still got to have family time, and I still got a life, or
Yeah.
try to have a life.
But you work for the public.
But
Yeah.
I work for the public, protect and serve. And so when the deputies called and said, "Bo, this guy," they called his name. I know him. I've known him. I knew him pretty well. I've arrested him numerous times and have dealt with him a bunch of times, not even arresting him, just different things. But for some reason, he likes me, or always did like me. But he was a big guy, and he was pretty rowdy and rambunctious, You didn't
Good
want
and spry.
I wouldn't have wanted to fight him by myself if there was going to be a fight going on, because he'd be hard to handle. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have tasers, or Batman tools, the bowler wrap. I explained that in one part. But they said, "Hey man, he ain't coming out of this trailer. He's told us he ain't coming out unless you come down here." He said, "If you'll come down here, he'll come out and he'll let you handcuff him. But you've got to carry him to jail. He don't want to ride with nobody else." And most all the deputies knew this guy. And he was very unpredictable. There's no telling what he might do. I mean, there was always a possibility that he'd walk out the door with a gun. I mean,
Yeah.
you just don't never know with this guy. So they asked me, they said, "Would you please come down here? We don't want any kind of altercation to go we don't want this to go any further than it's already been. We don't want nobody hurt. And he's willing to go, but he wants you to come get him."
You got to.
I said, I said, "Okay, I'll come on." And it's going to take me about 30 minutes to get there, because this is all the way across the county, the other side of Leesburg. But, well, it's actually between Round Mountain and Blanche on the backwater over there, or Little River. And so I told Katrina, I said, "Hey, this guy's not going to come out of the house unless I go down there." And I said, "I don't want anybody to get hurt. And if he'll come out for me, I'm just going to go get him." Okay. So I get over there. And as soon as I get there, I walk up on the porch, knock on the door, and holler his name. I say, "Hey, man, I'm here. I said,
Come on out.
they called and told me that you wasn't coming out unless I was here and that you wasn't going to cause no trouble. He says, you got a gun? I said, no, I left my gun in the truck. I ain't got no vest on. I just got my T-shirt on. You said you didn't want to see no guns, and I'm here, you know. I said, just what you going to do? I need to know what you going to do. All right. You promise you ain't got no gun on you? You ain't going to shoot me? I said, no, I'm not going to shoot you. I didn't come down here to shoot you. You know? I don't know why everybody wants to know if I'm going to shoot them. But anyway, I hear him start unlocking the door. And, of course, you know, nobody else could even be on the porch because he was looking out the window at everybody else. They was all standing down there behind their, off the side, you know, at their cars. And
Covering you, I hope.
yes, absolutely.
So they had guns.
They didn't have their guns pulled, but, you know, pointed at the place.
But they were ready.
But if something was to go down, they had my back, you know. So, sure enough, he unlocks the door. He cracks the door open, and I'm standing there. And I said, I ain't got nothing. Come on. I said, all I got some handcuffs. He said, okay. He said, just back up a little bit. I don't want to hit you with the screen door because it opened out.
Yeah. Back up.
I backed up a little bit, and he come out of the door, front door, and pulls the door to behind him, and I'm holding the screen door open, and he comes out, and I said, I call his name. I said, you ain't got no weapons on you, or no guns, knives, bazookas, or anything like that. You gonna hurt. You ain't got nothing on you. No, I ain't got nothing, Bo. I promise. I said, okay. I said, let me pat you down. I patted him down. He didn't have nothing. I said, all right. I said, you want to wear these handcuffs in front of you or behind you? He said, well, I'd rather wear them in front. I said, well, all right. I said, if you're going to cooperate, that's what we'll do. So
I ain't going to body slam you and yank your arms out of socket.
Put your handcuffs, put your arms out. He stuck his arms out, and I handcuffed him. And we walked down the steps to the car, and everybody else just standing there, you know, still covering to make sure he didn't do nothing stupid. Put him in the back seat of the car, and I said, all right, I'm going to carry him up to the jail. One of y'all need to come on and do the arrest report. I said, I'm going to drop him off, and I'm going home. So I get him up to the office, pull in the Sally port. I get out, let him out, and he said, I appreciate you always being fair, Bo. And I said, well, you're welcome, you know. I said, I appreciate you not giving us any trouble or giving me any trouble after you asked for me to come down there. And he said, oh, no, that's what I wanted, and that's what you got. And I said, okay. I said, well, fair enough. So I took my handcuffs off of him. The jail put another set of handcuffs on him and walked him into jail. No problems, no nothing. But he wasn't going to come out of the house for nobody but me. And why he picked me, I don't know.
Probably just because you're fair.
I guess.
Like you said.
You know, he
respected you.
He didn't have no qualms with me at all. You know, even though all the times that I'd have arrested him in the past, he wanted me to carry him to jail. He didn't want somebody else to do it. So anyway, we were telling a story about this eyeglass case, you know. But you're going to have to come back next week to listen to the rest of it.
Because that ain't got nothing to do with it.
Because what I just told about this guy wanting me to pick him up and bring him in jail ain't got nothing to do with this eyeglass case.
We're throwing you off.
We just giving you something else to think about.
What is it? Cliffhanger?
It's a cliffhanger, you know. And lo and behold, you're going to have to wait till next week to maybe get done with this eyeglass case. You know, we may or may not get done with it.
He's dragging it out because you guys requested more Bo.
No, I'm not. I'm not really dragging it out. I'm just telling the story.
He's giving all the details.
And I'm giving details. And some of the details that I'm giving, I'll just go ahead and tell you, ain't in that book.
This is a first-hand account.
Because, look, that stuff that's in that book, and you go read the book. I encourage you to go read the book.
Or possibly watch the movie when they finally decide to make it, because they do want to make a movie.
They've contacted us numerous times early on.
We should make the movie, Callie.
About the case.
With our little camera.
And it's kind of like the documentary movies, you know, that they do.
Yeah, we could do that.
What do you call them crime shows that y'all or your mama watches?
Like
48 hours?
No, it ain't that. It's just, it's on like.
Oh, it's like that Unabomber, and it gives the documentary.
Yeah, and you interview. They always interview the police that's involved in the case.
We should do that.
We should.
They contacted us several times about it, but at that time we couldn't we couldn't do it because the DA wouldn't allow it. Because
Can we make one? Could we get permission to make one about it?
I guess. I don't know.
We can look into that.
We can look into that.
We're about to run out though.
I know. Well, y'all, that's going to wrap us up for tonight.
For part 3.
For part 3, we will
Is
have
it part 3 already?
Yep,
It
that's
is.
part 3.
I thought this was part 4.
No, we skipped a week, remember, because
Oh, yeah, we had all them
we had a
technical
date.
difficulties.
Or not
Yeah.
a date.
Callie got a bunch of TikTok out of it, but we didn't get nothing done that night.
We didn't.
We did, but we kind of wasted our time because it just did nothing for
Yeah, I
us.
could have been at home doing something else.
Yeah.
But we got a good TikTok views. So,
Yeah. So,
Yes, I don't know nothing about the TikTok.
Yeah, you don't know about
but
that.
we're going to try to keep that up. So just keep following us on or watching us, liking us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And we got a little contest coming up.
A little
or
giveaway.
I guess.
We
Made some trucker hats.
Yeah, we're going to have 4 to give away total. So, we're going to give one away first. And we've signed the inside of them. So you'll get a sign. They may be worth some money one day. But I made this one and Callie made that one. And we think they're super cute. So,
And I'm going to post this little part on TikTok. And if you're watching this on TikTok, the only way you can win one of these hats is to repost this video, like the video, and follow me. If you want an extra entry, you can comment 2 people.
oh,
So-
yeah, I like that.
What do you mean comment 2 people?
Like they can tag 2
Tag
people.
2 people to see the video. And
So
then
they could tag me and Katrina,
Yeah.
and then
And
that
they get
would
an
give
extra
them-
entry.
Okay.
As
Does
long
that-
as they're already liking,
does
following,
that push
repost.
somebody else to see it because
Yeah.
they
Yes.
tagged you in it?
yes,
Yeah.
because it'll tag them like you do on Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about tagging nobody
Yeah,
on
we know.
Facebook either.
Anyway. But anyway, y'all just keep liking all the socials, the YouTube, all the things, and we will see you guys next week.
I thought you made another hat.
Oh, that one was for guys. We're not giving
Oh,
that
so
one.
you're not worried about the guys getting anything from beyond 21. You just want
Hey, we can
Those
make
kinda
some.
hats.
We can
We
make
can
some
do some
Beyond
guy hats.
21s.
Y'all just comment if y'all think we should have some dude hats. We'll have
'cause
some dude hats.
There's some dudes that watches this, ain't
We will get Bo to design the hat.
there? Ha! You don't want me designing no hat now.
We'll come up with something.
Yeah. Anyway, y'all just keep liking, subscribing, all the things, and come back next week for part 4 with Bo.
This has been Beyond 21.
With Caitlin.
Callie,
And it's me again.
for the
Both.
3rd time. Bye, y'all.